Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We are back with the cast of Brighter Stars, which is a project that I got to do an interview for a little bit ago. But now there's been some progress and some fun updates. So I want to introduce both Logan Kelly and Mark William, who we're all very familiar with thus far with this project. How are you boys doing?
We're doing great. I mean, I hope they're familiar with us. If not, I mean, where have you been? But yeah, no, we're doing great. We've been working very, very, very hard on this, even in the couple of weeks since we last spoke, which in some ways doesn't feel like that long ago, but just with all the stuff we've been doing on it, feels much longer than it is. But good work, exciting work. Every gray hair I find is a step, like a positive step. I see it as a positive thing. So yeah, I'm great on my end, and I know Mark's super busy and like an amazing partner on this, but I'm not going to speak for him.
Yeah, doing great. Spring in New York City, so lots of projects, lots of things we're trying to push forward. This being the biggest one, so excited about it.
If you hadn't said the biggest one, I would have been okay, but I would have had a cry off screen.
That's so good. I'm glad to hear that you're doing well. I actually was just in New York City, like a week ago, which was really, really fun. Every time I go to New York City, I feel like I just need to be there more often. There's just always so much going on there, so I can imagine how busy you all are up there working on everything. So I know that we've been making some progress with Brighter Stars thus far. Do you have any fun little tidbits or updates that you are excited about right now?
We actually hit a very special one that I think is very special and something we've been working towards for a long time. The Filmmaker Collaborative Fiscal Sponsorship Program, they've been around. I'm not going to pimp them too hard right now. We can always get into that later, but they've been around for many, many, many years now, and they've helped raise money for a select amount of projects that they deem as socially important, that are trying to make positive social change in the world. And we were lucky enough to be one of their 2026 selectees. They're wonderful people, very positive and very just in on this project with us, and just some of the best people I've had the opportunity to talk with, and so supportive, so excited to be a part of the project, which I think is great. I feel like normally with this, with any kind of creative form that you're trying to push, you're always feel like you're trying to impress someone else, but it was nice that they came in as equals, and they're just so supportive of us, and they've just been amazing. Our page is live for it, by the way, if anyone wants to go check that out. I said I wasn't going to pimp this whole thing now, but that's pretty much the whole thing.
Well, it's wonderful. First of all, congratulations. That is very major. That's very exciting, and I'm very happy that has come to fruition for you to help, put this dream into reality. So it's really, really exciting.
Yeah, and I think too, with us, as we're heading towards a production start date later this year, it's incredible to have such a great group of people with us. Not the only really cool progress we've had, though. I think Jeremy's aware of this, and Mark is certainly aware of this.
Yeah, I hear tell that you've actually found your Marco for the movie. Can you tell me a little bit about him?
Sure. So I think, first of all, discovering, like, I didn't discover him, he'd been working for a while, but like connecting with Mark to play James was such a big step, right? And such an amazing step. I always said he was like the perfect James when you have to round out the cast, right? And I always said James is nothing without his Marco. Marco is a character to me that's one of my favorite characters I've ever written along with James. So, it took, after a lot of hard work, we found who I think was born to play this role, no doubt. Whether you fell in love with him as Dex on Sex Education or as Robin on Game of Thrones, everyone fell in love with him on Game of Thrones. Anyway, my point being, everyone had a reason to fall in love with him, and just proud to say he's here with us on this interview. The incredible Lino Facioli is our Marco.
Woo!
Yay!
Guys, I'm so honored to be part of this. It's interesting because I think even when you're really excited about a project, it's almost kind of daunting in the beginning, right? And then being able to take part and then realize you're in incredible hands, in really, really good hands, is phenomenal. I feel so honored to be a part of it.
It's wonderful. Welcome to the production, Lino. Welcome to the interview, officially. So I want to ask, first of all, before we really get into it, how did the part of Lino come to you? Part of Lino, how did the part of Marco come to you?
That came to him easily, I think.
I think it did
Yeah.
too, yes. How did the
Well,
part of
so,
Marco
so
come to you?
I mean, Lino, I'm still figuring out. I'm still working on that bit. I think that's a lifelong journey. But Marco was interesting. So it was I traveled to Brazil. I moved countries halfway through last year, and I get a email from my agent because we kind of haven't been. There was a bit of a pause in the whole moving process. I get an email from my agent talking about this role that's been offered and like talking about like it's a historical drama and a romance and this character and the more I start reading about Marco, I'm like, oh, okay, this could be a really interesting character. Um, and then we had a call about maybe a month ago. I mean, time's been very, very relative recently. There's been so much going on, but I just remember the moment that I had the call. It was that thing that I was talking about earlier, where it was like, even when you're like interested by the project and excited by it, it's only when you meet the crew and the cast and the people that actually make the project what it is that you can really kind of know where you're at with things. Because you can read a good script and you can see a good potential in something, but sometimes you find that the most amazing scripts just don't have the crew and the cast and the sort of personal structure to make something great. And it was in that meeting that I was like, oh my god, like these people are so wonderful. They're so sweet. And since then I've become really nerdy about the project. Me and Logan have been like doing little like calls and like I've been going down Wikipedia wormholes about Nantucket in the 30s and Azorian migration to Azorian and mainland Portuguese migration to the US, and just kind of really diving into this world, kind of immersing myself in it, which in a way is homework for the role, but it's also been just kind of pure joy. When I get excited about something, I get carried away. So yeah, it's a good sign.
That's wonderful. I feel like that's the best way, you know, like when you're excited about something to really just dive in head first and learn everything you can learn about it.
Yeah. What's the point otherwise, right?
Right, exactly. It's so exciting.
Yeah.
That's so wonderful. And Logan, I also have to ask, like, what was it about Lino that drew you to him to play Marco?
Oh, well, I've been a fan of Lino's for years, and I've told him that. I mean, I think, going back to, his, like, my first knowledge of him was, of course, like many people, was Game of Thrones. And I'm sorry to keep bringing that up, Lino, and, like, hashing out your past. But just, I remember from the very first, like, his early episodes being like this, like, and as a young kid, he was, I think, he was a kid when he did that, but it was so, this was a kid that was like willing to do anything for a good part and was like played it so authentically. But, and obviously, like, I reached out, but never in a million years thought we would get him or get even like a response, someone like that who is, their career's been on the rise and everyone knows them. I mean, you don't think it's going to happen, but he was like the dream Marco. But, I'll never forget like getting the response back and being like, oh, okay, don't get excited. It's probably, we can't do this now. But yeah, but I've been a fan for a great many years. And then when we did do that call, I was just blown away. I mean, from the time he came on, there was so much insight and authenticity in everything he did. And he just got it right away. And it felt like when we were talking with him, I was sitting, Mark was right here, was to my right, and then our producer was behind us. And I think we all just felt like this was kismet. He understood this character. He had opinions on this character. He had questions. And it was just, this instinct was beautiful to watch. And then listening to him and Mark do it together, I was like, oh my gosh, like this was, you can write these parts. And I've lived with these characters for well over a decade now, between writing the book and having the idea and the screenplay. But I think, you hear those two together and you're just like, oh my God, this was magic. And again, never thought we'd get him in a million years. I mean, I think going back to, and I'm not passing a personal opinion on this at all, but, I think when Game of Thrones went off the air, for example, It was a controversial finale, right? And I'm not passing an opinion one way or another, but the one thing that everyone liked coming out of it was Lino coming back. And then I was a big Sex Education fan, and then the 2 years he was on that as Dex, I was just like, this is someone everyone would dream to work with. So it was, to put it in a rather cheesy fashion, a dream come true to even have him consider it, let alone be the amazing partner he is on it. And I think for Mark and I, this was a dream that started by me sliding into Mark's DMs 2 years ago or just about 2 years ago. And to find someone who was equally as passionate and understood it as well as we did, like, how can you ask for more?
That's beautiful. That's so wonderful. I'm glad that, the stars just kind of aligned for you with this and really brought this all together. And I also don't want to pass up Mark here. Mark,
Yeah.
what was it like getting to do that read through and really have that experience?
Yeah, it was awesome. I haven't watched Game of Thrones. I know. It's on the list of things that at some point I'm gonna sit down and watch the whole thing, but I was too late to the game to start it in the middle. So, but I did love Lino's work on Sex Education, obviously, and so I often get texts from Logan that say, I'm trying not to get too excited about this, but this just happened. And, Lino responding and responding so positively was one of those texts for sure. And we were both very excited about it. So, having that meeting, I think the energy and the rapport was there from the get-go, which is really cool. And getting to, I've read obviously the whole script before. We've done some table reads and stuff like that, but to do it with somebody of Lino's caliber and somebody who actually understands the role like that, even with the small amount of preparation that he had, was really exciting and inspiring, and inspired us all to get this thing moving.
It's wonderful to hear. It seems like you already all have this camaraderie about you, which I think is the most successful way to make any project really come together. So that's very exciting. I'm so glad that it all just kind of meshed that way for you guys. I do want to turn it over to Lino once again, as we start talking more about the character of Marco. What was it about Marco that really drew you to him?
It's interesting. So I think there's certain characters that you find that it's almost hard to pinpoint one thing. You're like, what, and I think that's part of the allure of Marco is his mystery, right? He's this enigma where you kind of in the beginning you kind of hate him in a way. He's rude, he's coarse. He's come to Nantucket to learn some manners, and it's not really working very well. But I think it's that mixture of qualities, that sort of ambiguous nature that just draws me to any character. I think I've been quite lucky, which is something that I see as maybe other people wouldn't, but throughout my career to have done characters who were quite controversial in a way, who were quite multifaceted. I think I'm speaking maybe for most actors, perhaps, but I think it's always fun to find a character that has these many, many different sides. And Marco has that. He has this allure. He has this mystique. There's, at the same time that there's danger, that you don't quite trust him. There's also, for me at least, when I was reading the script, there's also kind of an immense warmth generated from him. You see it in these little actions. There's sometimes what comes out as coarseness, what comes out as rudeness, as crudeness, is actually a form of affection or a misguided form of protection. And I think being able to kind of play with these little intricacies, I think is just magic for me. So yeah, I'm really fascinated by even the possibility of being able to play Marco. So that was kind of the beginning of it.
It's awesome. I know that you had mentioned Marco has this mystery and danger to him. And you also mentioned that you've played some pretty controversial characters per se. Do you have a role in your past that you think helped prepare you the most to take on the role of Marco?
Okay. I was thinking about it. because I think definitely, I mean, Robin Aaron and Dex Thompson, I think are very different to Marco in a lot of ways. And I was trying to look back at my career and thinking different things that I'd done. And this is going to sound very silly, but I hope it won't be offensive. Because to me, this was this was like the beginning of my acting career. I did a role for an advert. It was one of the first things that I'd done. And it was for a pizza company that will remain unnamed. You can Google it if you look up Lino Facioli Pizza. But they invested a lot of money into this ad, and I was playing a Brooklyn street urchin in the 1920s who worked at a newspaper company. And funnily enough, I spent basically the homework they gave me to prepare for this was to watch Bugsy Malone on repeat until I got the subtleties of the accent right, which isn't going to be Marco's accent. But it was a kind of like an immersion into a world that has some overlap to this. And then I also spent a couple of weeks doing dialect coach to kind of have this like Italian-American accent, which again isn't Marco's accent. But it was kind of an immersion into this world. And I think it's interesting how sometimes you do a role that you forget about. You know, you do like a pizza advert when you're younger, and then you realize, oh, all that research that I did to what seemed like a really niche subject that I probably would never think about later comes back. And then I get to kind of re-immerse myself into this world with the prior imagination and information that I had. And then combining that with the new information and what I find out about Marco and him growing up in New York and the sort of the issues with the mob and the union leaders and all of this stuff. And then I think one of the really cool things that's happened so far working with Logan has been the incredible freedom that he's given me to kind of like play around with the character and who I think he is. But while also giving me, Logan, you've given me so much feedback and so much information about what you think Marco is. But it's such an incredible balance. I think some directors will dump all the stuff that they want the character to be and like keep it just to that. And other directors will be like, oh, just do whatever. And I think you manage this incredible balance of giving me an immense depth to work from, but the immense freedom to play around and explore. So it's been really good.
Yeah. I have to also like add to that and shout Lino out here because, you know, I'm happy that it's been such a great vibe from me. Marco can tell you that sometimes I'm always like, sorry, that may have but I have just adored working with you, Lino, and just I think a lot of people don't realize Lino is a very, very intelligent person. Culturally, his instinct is just incredible, and I don't know, like we have a lot of cultural similarity interests that I think have like made that work, and he's just come up with these ideas that I'm just so amazed with because, you know, again, I've lived with this character for more than a decade now, and just to have him even more fleshed out and just like it's like I could like honestly like I could cry like with how great he's done and all these ideas are so beautiful, and it's just but it's I don't know, it's just so special to have someone who's so insightful and so passionate and just I don't know, a true gift to work with, and just a gift as a person, not even just to work with, but just a gift as a person. We're very lucky, so I hope you know the feeling is very mutual and it's a joy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you to Preston and Mark and everyone involved for kind of putting that trust. Because I know it's not easy when it's something so personal. To kind of bring a new person in is always, I mean, I imagine it can be sometimes a bit scary. So thank you for trusting me on that.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Well, that was so lovely. There was just praise for everyone in the chat, which was so wonderful. That was so nice to hear. Okay. Well, this is my last one to have you in the hot seat, and then we'll open it up to the class, Lino. But what is something that you hope audiences take away from Marco as a character?
I think it's to not take people at face value. I think a lot of times people kind of see someone and assume one, it's natural as humans to kind of want to understand other people, want to kind of, just save yourself the effort sometimes of figuring how people, finding things out as they go along. I think we make a lot of judgments. And I think Marco, for me, is maybe an example of that, of someone who presents this very, maybe kind of tough image in a way, and is actually hiding maybe kind of a wounded soul and a compassionate soul that's by circumstances found itself in a strange position. And I think maybe if people come away kind of learning to take a little bit more time before making a judgment, that could be a plus. That's my take on it anyway.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I feel like everything that I've heard so far about Brighter Stars, these characters have a lot of humanity to them, and a lot of different layers that they are like experiencing as they go through this. And so I feel like just in general, we could all use a little more humanity as like a whole. So to have this story happening now, it just feels very pertinent and very like real. And so it's wonderful to see that like that is the aspect of Marco that you really hope resonates with everyone. Yeah. All right. So now with this major casting done, and this is for anyone who would like to answer, what is next for Brighter Stars? What are the next steps? What are we doing?
Well, we keep pounding the pavement essentially. So we are very lucky to have our fiscal sponsorship launched through Filmmakers Collaborative. Again, they're just a wonderful organization. And they've opened up more doors for us in that it is a very scary time for a lot of people to be putting large amounts of money into film. I mean, we're seeing no matter the size of the film, it's harder and harder to get people into the box office. So luckily with this, our supporters are actually automatically qualifying for tax write-offs. So it's opened more doors in that way. I think we love to put the emphasis on show in the word show business, but it is still a business, and we're very grateful for them for helping bolster a queer story and a story of such complex characters and so many cultures and history in a way that's sometimes harder to do in a traditional financial market. We are talking with got a few other exciting things. I can't really drop company names or anything, but just working around the clock on that. And we are aiming for our production to start. I don't want to publicly say our date, but we do have a start date chosen, which is really exciting. And yeah, just getting all of us in one room, hopefully in the next stretch of time, so we can all aim, really pound the pavement together and work. I think this is a very loving group of people, and I'm really excited to get us all together. I know Mark's got a lot of stuff going on, actually. I really think he needs to pimp this incredible musical he's been working on, but I'm going to call him out on that real quick.
I'm the lyricist and star of a new musical called Dorian's Wild Affair, which is inspired by Oscar Wilde's The Picture of Dorian Gray. And we're getting a debut production the first weekend of September in New Hampshire at the Weathervane Theater. So very excited to get a full production happening.
I'm excited
That's
to
so
see
wonderful. Congratulations.
Thanks.
it. I'm excited to see it, and then I'm going to pull him back from it. I'm going to write
Sounds perfect.
Not that he hasn't working. He's been working 24/7 on this, like all of us have. So yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on, and just looking forward to getting the gang together. And I mean, I will tell you, I think patience is a necessary evil. I don't care what people call it. I don't know why people call it a virtue, but I'm very excited that we are turning this incredible corner, thanks to Lino and Mark, and being able to really see the reality and the fruits of our effort pay off.
Wonderful. It's so cool just getting to see the way this is progressing, from book to the concept of the movie to now we have like official castings, and we're getting things set for production. So like it's very cool to just kind of see the entire arc happen. And I'm very excited to see where this goes from here. if people are looking to get involved in the development of the film, how can they do that? Whether it be support, like what can they do?
Well, I I always like money. No, no, seriously. I mean, if you want a tax write-off, that's one way to get involved, right? But that's not necessarily the only way you can get involved. You know, a big part of it, especially with movies like this, you see so many, particularly queer movies, kind of fly under the radar. So, we have our Instagram, TikTok page that you guys can follow along, follow the journey. Definitely give Lino and Mark follows on their social medias and spread the word. We're hard at work. We've got an amazing producer behind us, and like as you can see, we have this beautiful, wonderful cast who are just geniuses and wonderful and perfect, and just continue to support our little community. And we are very excited to give it back to you when it's done and it's ready to be on the screen.
So excited to see what becomes of all of this. So as we wrap things up, are there any last remarks you'd like to leave the audience with as you are bringing this dream to life and things you want them to know?
I'll let the boys take that one first. I can talk for 40 minutes.
Do you want to go, Mark? I've been wagging everyone's ear off.
I don't know. And this is a very exciting project for all of us. We love this world, and we can't wait for all of you to experience it with us.
It's true. It's I think it's a great time to kind of get everyone excited about this. It's like you were saying, Logan. Patience is a necessary evil. We can't get too complacent. We want people to get on board, to see this and get excited and share it and talk about it with their friends as much as they can. Because I think this is something, I don't know, when you have something you really like, you want to share it, you want more people to know about it. So if you feel that way, please do.
Even if you don't feel that way, if you like any of us, go for it. No, those are, I honestly can't follow up with anything. They both said it pretty beautifully, other than, yeah, there's just a lot of passion with all of us. This is not a project that's being done for finances. This is a project being done for art's sake. And I just really hope that people come along and get excited for something like that, because I think we've all been looking for something like that for a long time, and just hope our passion is palpable for all of you.
I could tell just from this interview, there's a lot of love and passion that is in this project. And I'm sure the audience is feeling that as well. And I cannot wait to see what Brighter Stars brings to not only audience, but just to the world. In a time where we need humanity and passion and love, I think the most, arguably. So thank you all again for letting me do this interview with all of you. I'm very excited to continue following along with all things Brighter Stars. And if you're looking to do another interview down the road, let me know. I'll be there.
I'm hoping we have a very big update, one we can do for you soon. I'm not going to say too much and get in trouble, but there's a few, what's the saying? There's a few pots on fire. I don't know. I'm a writer, guys. But just there's a few exciting things that we'll be able to share really soon. So we will be back very soon.
I cannot wait. Thank you all once again.
Thank you.